Well, hello there. My name is Dave Bila. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views, broadcast by Access LaPorte County on Public Access TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, and national topics and issues of interest to the Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions are the views and the responsibilities of those making the comments and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its co-producers. We will hear broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment rights of freedom of speech or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied. We have freedom of speech in this community, as well as in the United States of America. Any unauthorized use of the accounts, descriptions, and events of this program without the express written consent of Larry Curley or Schmo is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program, the participants, and the discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, on an occasion where I see fit, I attend sanitary district board meetings. And when it comes up to public comment, I try to make myself as vocal as possible. And again, I was authorized by Perry's administration to work in conjunction with the sanitary district for remediation of the ditches on the west side. Since then, my rapport with the Michigan City Sanitary District has improved. I get a bi-monthly press release from the Michigan City Sanitary District informing me of what the agenda is and where it's to be located and so on. And recently I received this press release from the sanitary district pertaining to a bond issue that they're considering, and they approved it last night for the raising of these sanitary rates. And to summarize, the Michigan City Sanitary District needs an increase of roughly $3.8 million a year from Wendy Bichette. This is what she talked about. When the meeting started, I stood up and I approached the sanitary board and I said, after Ms. Bichette gave her presentation, I said, sanitary board, I listened to Wendy's initial presentation and I listened to her documentation, and never once throughout her presentation did she discuss what this rate increase would be. Well, eventually the sanitary district, oh gee, we forgot. Well, putting things into perspective, roughly 90% of the residents of Michigan City will see a two-phase rate increase. The first phase and the second phase combined amounts to, if it passes by the city council has to approve it, will amount to roughly $36 to $38 a month increase on your sanitation bill. Now this does not include water. And I understand there's a water rate coming down the tube someplace, yeah, but I haven't been able to put my finger on it because no press release. It's a secret from the water department, but I'll find it somehow. The fact of the matter is that and Brian Dabney, he spoke up and he said he will sponsor this ordinance on the floor of the city council. In regard
to the liaison to the set.
Yeah, I believe he is. So, as far as the sanitary district is concerned, has been approved by them.
That particular bond.
That particular bond.
Now, what type of a bond is this? Is it government backed or is it a revenue bond?
Well, it's something to generate the $3.8 million. So I would imagine it's a regular city bond, maybe. I don't. They talked about government bonds.
They're getting it from the bond bank in Indiana.
Are they? Okay. So what they're doing is they're generating through this rate increase, this dual rate increase, two-phase, roughly $3.8 million a year.
How much is the total bond?
In perpetuity.
I know, but how much are they trying to spend? Last we heard it was $100 million.
They didn't specify in
they want a new sanitary district.
But they didn't go
building,
into they didn't go into specifics. She only discussed they have to generate to stay functional. We have to generate $3.8 million a year to make the sanitary district go into operation.
But at a minimum, your sewer and water bill is going to double, if not 2.5 times.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. And then, when I made my presentation to the board, I said, you know, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we do have this referendum vote coming up for the schools to the tune of,
That's $26 a month, right?
$22 a month.
$22 a month.
To the tune of $262 a year on your, so, and then we got wheel tax that was implemented, and how many other, how much squeezing of this turnip, when it doesn't have too much blood in it, how much squeezing is going to take effect when maybe a restructuring of the system. I go back to when I exposed the $40 million that the sanitary district spent someplace for the last 20 years for ditch remediation, that nothing's been accomplished until I started raising hell. I'm just saying maybe a restructure, a financial restructuring. And for example, residents, interesting thing, they've got a moratorium. I read this. A resolution for final rate fees updated, a resolution establishing a temporary moratorium with respect to consideration of application for sewer connection permits. They're not going to implement this issue, but it's a temporary moratorium. So a developer who, let's say, lives in Trail Creek and wants to tap into the source, as it stands right now under this temporary moratorium, he cannot do that.
Well, did they tell you why they need this moratorium? Because to me, the gross thing you always look at, Tony can disagree with me, as he likes to do, is the overall amount. If you're adding additional revenue, because you would do that if you're adding additional customers, why then are they putting a moratorium on that? I would think they would be looking to expand that.
Well, how I interpreted that, Bob, was what they're doing is they're dangling a carrot out there in front of us people of limited intelligence, and they're saying, hey, we got a temporary moratorium until we can get our bond issue passed, and then this temporary then disappears. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, if you're not growing, you're not making any money.
Yeah.
Same.
You're
Yeah,
just,
pretty
like you
simple.
said, you're just taking more money from your audience you already have captured.
Right. So,
Doesn't make any sense.
and again, going back to the residents of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Ward who are assessed the tax to the tune of $500,000 a year for ditch remediation, that they have had no, on the west side of town, 3 of those wards, they had no remediation whatsoever until we brought this up in 2022, or, you know. I'm just saying, maybe they have to take a new attitude financially. Maybe.
They need a paradigm shift.
Well,
They're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
With a new board. They got a new
They
board.
always get a new board.
Yeah.
The new board always seems to know more than the old board.
Now, when I talked to the attorney and I talked to Bichette, I asked Wendy, I said, Wendy, do you have any information on that $40+ million and where the money went to? She says, well, I don't have enough documentation. I said, yes, you do, because I gave her the court order mandating the Michigan City Sanitary District to take over remediation of the ditches, and it specifically spells out what that money is to be used for, and it has not been used for in 20 years. Okay, and I gave her that paperwork at a sanitary district board meeting.
by the way, that's probably the same type of paperwork, Tony can verify this one.
It's a court order.
Right.
Yeah.
For other ditches. Court orders.
You're right.
Applicable throughout the Port County.
Well,
Yeah,
but again, it
court
pertains.
drains and legal drains and
But it pertained to the funding mechanism that the county and the city, the agreement that they entered into, that the city takes over the responsibility of maintaining ditches.
Yeah.
And it's in law in 1972. Now that amounts to, again, it's $40,488,000. What's a $488,000 and $40 million? But the fact of the matter is, utilization of that money was redirected to someplace else, and even today, the residents of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Ward are being charged a percentage for this ditch remediation, and which is basically half of the city of Michigan City, and they're not getting nothing for the bang for the buck that they're spending. I don't think that's right. And when I talked to Bichette, well, she sort of brushed it over. Well, I don't have all the details. I said, Wendy, I gave you the details in that document. You didn't. I didn't criticize her, but I was quite vocal. Okay. So, anyway,
You got an election next year, so it's your decision whether you're happy you're paying somewhere near $100 per sewer and water. Or you're not.
Now a couple other interesting points that was brought up was this rate effect will affect 90% of the residents of Michigan City. So there's.
Well, it has to, because they won't let anyone else hook up. Who else is going to affect?
Well,
Well,
the 10% could be the
Not
factories. No, the factories.
Oh, okay.
Okay, when it said residential. Okay. So anyway, it's going to start off with an increase of $18 a month in phase 1, and in phase 2, it'll be $36 a month. For the residents who reside outside of the city of Michigan City, who are on city water and city sewage, they pay 14.5% more than the residents of the residents within the city boundaries. There was an individual.
I thought you could charge them 50%.
That's what I was.
Well, there was an individual from Trail Creek, a Trail Creek trustee that came, and he gave his presentation, and he's saying we pay 14.5% more. Why?
I thought they could charge them 50%.
Well,
Right.
the sanitary district is only charging 14.5%.
Well, there's more money.
To the. Oh yeah.
Oh, there's some more money. Why don't they raise there?
Wait, yeah.
Yeah,
Because they can't vote for them anyways. Why wouldn't you raise the out-of-towners? Because they don't get a vote.
Good point. But right
What
now,
are they going to do? Complain?
But right
and there
now,
was a legitimate reason for that, which was that the Michigan City Sanitary District had already provided a lot of the buildings, the assets that they needed to have, and those were done by Michigan City taxpayers. So therefore, the new rate for the out-of-town payers would be 50% of the Michigan City rate.
well, according to
That's pretty simple.
yeah, but according to this
that's something-
resident,
Why would you get up front and then tell them you're paying 14.5%? Which the board just said, "Oh, great! Thank you for telling me, sir. We got to raise that to 50%. Thank you. Have a good day."
well, that's like hey, that's like a kick in the head with a cow.
Maybe you shouldn't have come here and told us.
But he did.
Whoops.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things that you can learn if you attend various meetings, and if you
Or you
cannot.
can watch them on Elko.
Yeah, that's what I'm leading up to. If you can't attend the meetings, you can watch the rebroadcast. It's sort of difficult to find out specifically when these programs are being played. But if you can put a noose around that program, you'll be able to see me on Elko TV. I was not objecting to this rate increase. I was looking for transparency. And when I called Wendy on the fact that she went through the whole presentation and she didn't mention how much money the ratepayer is going to be charged, I saw that as an opportunity to discuss transparency.
Good thing you were there. They were purposely not going to say.
Now, the bottom line, what's the board president who lives in Long Beach? He had anyway. He'll come up. He had Wendy read the entire
Rate structure?
rates, not the straight. Didn't go into details. It just read the language adopting this this bond issue, but it did not mention any percentages of. It did not mention in that any dollar value.
We don't want to let that slip.
Well, that's why I spoke up. I was the first one. I sat there and I listened. I watched her, and she smiles and she looks nice, up there. I don't know if all of her smiles are directed to me or to get my attention, but I watch what she's doing. And she is trying to sell the concept of this specific rate increase.
Of course she is. It's her job.
Saying that's her job. And I told her to her face, I said, Wendy, I acknowledge your structure. I understand what she's trying to do,
Yeah.
And I said that publicly. Bottom line is, the referendum vote is basically a B, C permit structure. The normal 90%, and then the C, the business rates. They have different structures based on the size of the
The water meter size.
the water meter size. There are various water meter sizes, which then explains,
Because they can only gauge sewer out of the water meter that comes in your house, not what leaves.
So I'm just saying that, ladies and gentlemen, take the time to find on Elko this sanitary district meeting dated the 9th of June, Sanitary Board of Commissioners, and they adopted this resolution to now send to the City Council. Now, I mentioned Brian Dabney. I gave him documentation from Mike Rosenbaum, which showed the $40+ million that was spent over the last 20 years. I gave it to him, but I don't know how far he's going to pursue it. But it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed because if you take a portion of redevelopment commission meetings, redevelopment commission monies that come in perpetuity, at least up until 2048, redevelopment commission is going to get their money. It's coming in. It's coming in based on new construction, and if you take
And by the way, keep that construction going, because that's a huge problem.
that is correct, and 2% of that money is delegated. As far as 2018, 2% of that money was delegated to the Michigan City area schools. Now there's possibly a change in legislation that will allow more entities within the city to benefit from redevelopment commission money. Redevelopment commission is funding a lot of activities in the sanitary district. Well, maybe you spread the wealth around, and maybe rather than an $18 a $36 a month increase, maybe the funds that redevelopment commission is getting in on a monthly basis could help offset this bond issue. Maybe. I mean, how can we get it done? I don't know. But right now, the only thing that I see is a bond issue, a referendum vote for the schools, a bond issue for sanitary district. We've got a wheel tax, and we've got
Water department,
fire department.
water department money.
Yeah, I'm just saying, maybe the entire city needs to take a new attitude.
And we got a budget coming up.
And we got a budget coming
And I
up.
saw the county council talking about their budget hearings coming up. And they've always been real tight about their bill. And they've got to find a way to save, I think, $1 million. It's not easy. And I think Michigan City and every community, because it's Senate Bill 1, is in a very tough situation here. And come July, I mean, I don't know, have you guys heard? I don't know where it stands. Do the police even have a contract yet?
I don't believe so.
Now we're into another budget year. This is not easy. This is not going to be easy. And to constantly look, and I watched mostly Chicago news, to look at them talk about revenue, the code word for taxes, fees, just be honest about it. We're going to tax you more, we're going to fee you more. Because we don't want to look at the other side, which is maybe we ought to do some cuts and streamline, or maybe we ought to work smarter. And there was an article, that's what they said, they didn't know I brought this in. There's an article, July 10th from Indiana Business Journal, IBJ, pretty neat website. The city of Indy has, the headline is really interesting. Streamline Indy aims to cut wait times for city development permits. Because if you're not growing, your revenue, your taxes and your fees are not growing. So you got to find a way to do it. But the article, and it's pages long, Indianapolis, these people, these developers, and they have had enough. They've had enough so much that they're not going to stay in Indianapolis anymore. They're going to go somewhere else to develop. These people are waiting up to, if I can find it, they're waiting not just weeks, they're waiting months and months for a permit. There's a little chart they have about what you gotta do through Indianapolis. And this is not just Indianapolis.
Now, this is Marion County, basically.
Yeah, there's Unigov, right? Unigov. So they're gonna try to get their permits down to 45 days, a month and a half. Because these developers who have money, they've done the calculation, they know they wanna build it, now they have to go through the city's permitting process, and the city says, wait, these people are going to leave. Denver, Colorado, has a 200-day permit process. 200 days! And we've talked about this before. The city of Indianapolis, they're trying to get it down to 90 days. Would you want to wait 3 months for a permit? And they don't have the expertise in-house, which I don't think they should. It's expensive, let alone if you could find an engineer. And so they farm it out to different private properties, but private engineering firms. They farm it out to specifically a few of them, and you have to use them. So you get a permit, you do all your paperwork. That takes you 4, 6, 9 weeks just to get the paperwork generated to submit. So you take your paperwork, you go down to the city, you say, here's all my paperwork, here's my money, could you review this and give me my permit? Well, they say, okay, and then they give it to their consultants. If we would change the rule, which I think Michigan City has done with different people, and let them hire their own consultant, and they pay them whatever they need to pay them, the city's not going to pay it, and then they review it and say, okay, we reviewed it, you've met all the requirements, and they give that permit or that review to the city and says, okay, sounds good, you're good. Start building. However long it takes for their engineering or consultant to review it. If it takes them a week, it takes them a week. See, that's where the money changes the outcome. So somebody like a data center or these apartments on 11th Street, or those people have a lot of money. They will pay their consultant to put them at the front of the line. They can't go to the city, and this is Indianapolis, and say, listen, here's my paperwork, could you put this at the front of the line? They're going to say, no, we can't put that at the front of the line, you got to get in line like everyone else. Now, if they could pay their own people, they'd say, okay, I'm paying my guy, I'm going to pay you whatever extra, how much would you charge me to put me at the front of the line to get this permit done, so I can give it to the city and I get approved.
Let me provide you some additional facts. Do you have any idea how many established TIF districts there are in the state of Indiana?
No. Total, no.
Total 1,625 established TIF districts in the state of Indiana. Do you know the physical footprint, the real estate footprint capturing inside these TIF district boundaries? Do you know the total gross assessment value of that? Any idea?
$1 billion.
$96.26 billion.
Oh, almost $100 billion.
The next assessed value is $76.2 billion. This is in the established TIF districts throughout the entire state. Excess, and it amounts to 2%. Basically, the people who reside in a TIF district pays 2% to the Redevelopment Commission to continue to make this thing function. Am I correct?
So now they're trapping almost $100 billion.
Yes, sir. And
that should go to police, fire, schools, and services.
And
that's what these redevelopment commissions do. They trap money that does not go to police, fire, services, and schools. And now we've got to pay other funds to water and sewer and police and fire and school, right? Because we're having now a school bond referendum because Michigan City has trapped revenue.
Did I read this properly? Oh, financial footprint?
Yeah, $96.26 billion. Almost $100 billion.
And so you wonder why your taxes are going up, or why a fire department doesn't have a negotiated
We got to go
contract?
backwards. We got to go backwards. Look, you always got to go backwards to look at the future. The redevelopment commissions, the TIF districts were set up to take money and redevelop blighted areas.
Correct.
And that would improve growth and increase the tax revenue. California got rid of it. They're the first ones to have it, and the first ones to get rid of it. If the system worked like it was supposed to, the redevelopment money would improve the blighted areas, increase the growth revenue. The police, the fire, the services, and school would not have lost money. But they have, we know they have, because they're asking for $80 million. So did the system work?
Yeah. Now I asked you before the program started about the 2018 legislation. Has the 2018 year legislation been repealed, preventing the redevelopment commission to provide 15% of the revenue to the school city if they requested? Has that matter been repealed?
I don't think so. I think it's still
So,
15%.
so we have legislation on the books as of 2018 that allows, if they request it, the Michigan City area schools to request 15% revenue. And Skylar York and the Redevelopment Commission decided that it wasn't a mandated legislation. It's a will legislation or a shall legislation. They are holding up 15% of, right now it's probably 17 or 18 million dollars that the Redevelopment Commission has in the bank. They are holding that up and forcing the school city for a referendum vote of how much money?
80 million.
$80 million in the November election. Don't you think we should research all potential avenues of funding and utilize that money
I will
first?
give you another avenue of funding.
Good.
You are putting it on the Michigan City Civil City to provide the taxes for the entire school system. Now, that was fine. When you and I went to school, it was the Michigan City school system. It was the LaPorte school system, period. We have taken in various townships, and we have taken in outlying areas. This has got to be done on a per-student basis, not on the basis of, well, it's the redevelopment commission and therefore they should pay. No, we should be looking at the number of students coming from the civil city of Michigan City, then coming from the outlying areas of the townships, starting with Cool Spring Township, not in Michigan City, Pine Township, and the other townships that are not in Michigan City. How many students do they have in the school system? Then you can say, look, Michigan City will provide this amount. Cool Spring Township needs to provide this amount.
But
Michigan Township needs to provide this amount.
But the bottom line, Bob, if this referendum vote comes through, your argument is moot.
Well, we were hoping to do that argument.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
We were planning and scheming here.
Good.
Okay, so suppose the school district, the area school district,
Right.
has 100, I don't know what the number, say it's 100 million in funding. And I would say 70% of that's come from the city. So 70 millions come from the city, civil city proper.
Based on valuation.
No, I'm just giving you numbers. I don't know what these numbers
Based
are.
on valuation.
Assessed value, yes.
Yeah.
So, but if the redevelopment district is capturing 20 or 30 million dollars of that 70 million, is that number the assessed valuation that's not coming through the mandated legal amount because the redevelopment has captured the growth money? Is that money more or less than the 15% that they could ask for, the school district could ask for the city? I would venture to say that money is more that the school district would get if the redevelopment district wouldn't capture the growth money. And that's by law. So you could argue that the outliers aren't paying their fair share, but the school district would get more of their share from the city if the redevelopment had not captured the growth money. And that's not just that's the police, the fire, services, and the school.
But the problem is the school city did not capture the growth because they did not have the growth in students. The school city gets funded a lot of times by the state based on a number of students. We have continued to lose students. Now, that's not all the school system's fault. In this country, our culture has changed significantly. There are the number of students per family is down significantly.
Oh yeah.
So as a result,
Worldwide.
oh
Worldwide.
yeah. Well, let's just talk about the
Even
U.S.
China's
Yeah.
having problems.
So as a result of that, there has been very little growth. In fact, it's been a reduction in growth in the school system. They failed to understand that. in their budgeting process.
They failed to
let
understand
me
it in
finish.
every way.
They failed in their long-range planning.
Yeah.
And now they're coming back because they failed in their long-range planning and asking for money to make up for that. That should have been done 10, 12, 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
We saw it coming, but they didn't. Now, let me finish. The budgetary process, which is mandated by the state, really does not take much into account in terms of long-range planning. You look at your budget year by year.
Year by year.
Yeah,
No
and
future.
You look at, okay, this is what we had in 2025, this is what we've got in 2026, what are the variances, line item by line item, in terms of your accounting system. That forces them just to look at the numbers in terms of a budget for a single year. They've got to start looking at this, and so does the sanitary district in the water department, in terms of long-range planning. When will we need a new sanitation system? When will we need a new water system? And those have to be set aside
And
on
will-
a year-by-year basis.
When will we need the location of the sewer treatment plant moved? Has anyone even thought that far ahead?
Oh, I think they have, but the problem is, as I understand it, the rumor is it's about 25 million to do that.
It doesn't
Okay.
matter. It's probably 50 million not to move it.
Oh, you
Speaking,
might be right, I don't know.
speaking after me at this press conference, eventually Paul Prispolinski came up.
Bless
and,
his heart, Paul.
And he pointed out the same structure that Bob talked about. Establish a budget. Okay? A long-range budget.
Yeah.
Establish what the sanitary district is doing right now is taking money out of this bucket and putting it over in this bucket. With a verbal transfer, they've got a series of buckets, and these
Wait,
buckets
what-
are running. Buckets have a hole in it.
Isn't that just called like putting out fires and not really addressing the thing that
Correct.
lit the fire?
Correct. Now we have an accountant there. Maybe
Retired.
Maybe we
Remember it
we
is.
could resurrect him and maybe Mayor Angie could appoint him to the sanitary district to spell out what.
Bob don't want it.
You don't want it?
50 years ago, I was liaison to the sanitary district. I was on the city council.
Well, then you might have been there when they were urinating away this $50 million since 1973 on a ditch remediation. Were you there at that time? You were a contributing factor, maybe?
No, the ditches were still in the county's domain.
You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
again, I'm just yanking.
I
wanna go
remember
back
that
to-
because I had a lot of constituents had problems
Now,
with the ditches.
before I shut up, okay, if any of your viewers any of our viewers out there have any questions regarding this concept, all questions should be directed to Wendy Bichette at area code 219-873-1400. That's Wendy Bichette at 219-873-1400 pertaining to this bond issue. Now, as it happened yesterday, the resolution has been approved by the sanitary district, but she is still seeking additional information. That was her comment. So if you have any inquiries, don't hesitate to deluge her and inform her that you're a senior citizen on $150 a month Social Security check. And where are you going to have her suggest to you where you're going to get this an additional $36 on your sanitary bill to pay your living
I'm
expense?
going to Bob's side here. If you have any concerns, call your council member
Yeah.
because they've already passed it. Wendy Vichet her vote is gone. Call your council members. If you do not want this passed, call your council members. Bob's 100% right. If they get flooded with calls, guess what? This will not be approved. They will have to go back and redo and lower the money. So it's up to your council members now.
Well, she serves in a dual capacity. One, she sits on the sanitary district board, and she's
But
also
she doesn't get a vote anymore.
No, but
her
she-
vote's gone.
But she's also involved with the city and development of the city.
She won't get
As
any vote.
director.
You have to call your council member. If you want to make a change, call your council member. Email your council member. Go to social media. If you
And-
don't like this, talk to your councilman. I mean, I'll go back to schools. Got to go back to schools. There's another article.
Another one.
Indiana sets standards for 4-day school week waivers.
I'm going to take a slightly, well, maybe more than a
No,
slightly.
wait. The waiver requires the school has to be a grade A school,
Right.
and they have to pay their teachers $45,000 a year minimum. Sounds pretty good to me. Go ahead.
Well, what I want to talk about
For
is
9 months worth?
if we are going to get additional students, we need to compete. Now, I think LaPorte.
Wait, we have to get additional students.
Wait. I think LaPorte has started down that road
Oh,
where
yes.
they are looking at taking students from, I guess, all over the country for
Yep.
crying
Yep.
out loud, just to get more students into their system. And the students that come into their system have to bring the money with them.
Yep.
If you are going to compete, and this sounds simple because it's just a couple of words, but it really is the key. Outcomes versus outputs. When we look at graduation, we look at how many students graduated high school. We don't look at how many students in the 12th grade performed at a 12th grade reading level, performed at a 12th grade math level. That is what's got to change. And if we change this and we start to move up academically, you're going to find people are going to want to come to this school district. But they have to compete. When they talked about what they wanted to do with the bond money that they will take in, it was a lot of social type things. And I understand that socially we have to train the kids to be able to get along in our society. But when you start to tax the way they want to tax, if you look, and these statistics are about 2 years old, but a couple of years ago in LaPorte County, we had 43,000 in 30 households that lived either below the poverty rate or just slightly above the poverty rate. These people are going to have a very hard time paying for what Dave is talking about in terms of the school system and in terms of the water and sanitation system. These people are just barely eking out a living. Now, let me give you some other statistics, and I think I've got them. In terms of the state of Indiana, one adult, it requires an income of $28,764 for that adult to survive. Family of 4, 2 adults, 1 infant, which is an infant in school, and 1 preschooler, $74,028. How many times have I talked about we have got to raise, and this is where the Economic Development Commission and the Redevelopment Commission have got to come in. We have got to significantly raise the average straight-time salaries of the people being paid. If you look at the Federal Reserve Board, a number of others, they will tell you that inflation is very difficult to fight. The way you fight it is by getting better salaries. And we have done that since the end of World War II. It's been the salary increases that overcome inflation. We did not overcome inflation. The salary increases that people got are what overcame inflation. And we have got to raise the average straight-time hourly wage in LaPorte County. Now, I'll tell you one story, because for the 2000 census, I sent in my application. I guess my fingerprints were still on with the FBI because I was a crypto officer and an RPS custodian when I was in the Navy. And they told me it'd be about a month and a half before they came back. 48 hours later, I got a phone call from them. Hey, my fingerprints were still there. I said, well, okay, what kind of jobs do you have? He said, well, we'd like to offer you a supervisor's job. We have one open in Lake County and we have one open in LaPorte County. I said, okay, well, what do they pay? $26 an hour in Lake County, $16 an hour in LaPorte County. Even the federal government is taking advantage of the low salaries in LaPorte County. This has got to increase, and the only way you're going to get this to increase is through recruiting the better paying types of jobs, which are in industrial jobs, which are construction jobs, those kind. Now, we got to get people trained to do those jobs, and we are way behind in terms of that training. This has got to be worked on by, again, You got people on the redevelopment commission and the economic development commission that have got to get involved in this and do some recruiting. Get these people in high school to talk about the trades and where you can go to make money. Now, there's another little takeoff on this that I'll mention. The federal government, Department of Education, if it still exists, is looking at schools, colleges, where after 4 years, if you have a student who graduates in with some type of a major, and they are making less than the average student with a high school diploma, they're going to cut off loans, student loans to those schools. I'm not quite sure how they would implement this, but I think that's a pretty good idea. Back to a Michigan City school system. We have got to start looking at how do we get these kids educated enough that they can take the kinds of jobs that are going to be available. The data centers here in Michigan City and Port will be one area where you're going to have high-tech types of people. There will be others. We're going to have them in the construction situation throughout Northwest Indiana. The school system and the Redevelopment Commission, the Economic Development Commission, and maybe even people from Google and from Microsoft talk to the school system about what kind of training do they need in order to be able to be hired into their system. I can tell you math will be a heavy subject. More and more we are becoming math dependent in this society. If we're going to go to the moon and establish data centers on the moon and then go from the moon to Mars, we're going to have some fantastic calculations that have to be made.
That's some fuzzy math.
And there's going to be a lot of small calculations to go along with that. The school board, and we've got to find out who these people are, because the board is getting elected this fall. How are they going to implement stronger math classes, stronger physics classes, stronger chemistry classes in our school system so that these kids are ready for what will be necessary in our next society?
And on that point, I occasionally watch a school board meeting of the Michigan City area schools, and only two of the individuals who sit there, that Marty Corley and that Gresham, those are the only two people of the 7-member board that say anything. The other they are there in body, but I don't hear any comments from the rest. So why are you sitting there if you cannot contribute? I have facts, I have figures, I do research. And again, money is available. Take advantage of it. They took advantage of it. They went to redevelopment turned them down. You got a lawyer. Sue the redevelopment commission for your money that you're entitled to get.
I got a better idea. You could do that too, but I got a better idea. With the data centers that are coming in, Microsoft and Google, Alphabet on the New York Stock Exchange, take a look at their foundations. Foundations have to contribute X amount of money. These are very large foundations in terms of dollars. Eli Lillyhead's another one. It has a huge foundation out of Indianapolis. See what you can do in terms of improving student capabilities in math and reading. And you'd have to work up some programs. You'd have to talk about outcomes. How well did you do this, rather than just outputs? We had 20 people in there and they completed 6 or 8 weeks. No, we had 20 people and they raised their level in math by 10 points. They raised their level in reading by 6 points. You've got to start doing things like that. Outcomes rather than outputs. I think you're going to find that these foundations will be very interested in that.
I have a question. Why doesn't Michigan City area schools have their own foundation?
Nobody ever contributed the money.
They could go get some money from local businesses and people and create their own foundation and take the foundation money and pay school teachers more money. And that's something, Purdue has a huge foundation, IU has a huge foundation, Harvard has a gigantic foundation. I don't know why we don't have a Michigan City Area Schools Foundation, because then businesses could direct their money to that foundation for specific uses.
Yeah.
And they don't have to give the pot of money for school to give it to a program when they want it to go to a teacher getting paid. So I don't know why, maybe Michigan City Area Schools needs to set up a foundation so private entities could fund it and tell them how they want that money spent, and they will spend it that way.
Well, could I just
idea.
emphasize one number that came out of this? In the state of Indiana, I want to do this one more time. For a family of 4, it takes in income, this is just to keep you in the necessities, of $74,028 a year. That's really difficult to do in Michigan City.
We're not even close to that, are we?
Now, family of 4 was considered in this study 2 adults, an infant in school, and a preschooler, not obviously in school. Now, household basics needed to live and work in LaPorte County. Housing, that's number 1 on the agenda. Child care, and there are a number of child care facilities around. How much are they emphasizing reading to the kids that are 2 and 3 years old? How much are they reading to them? Transportation. This is where I think I have a little disagreement with Tony, but I think the governor, when he suspended the taxes, I think about 62 or 63 cents worth, that will help these people that are right at that level of just above poverty or just above low poverty, because they got to pay for the gas.
I'm fine, just keep it, just get rid of it. Get rid of it for good.
Okay, health care.
Let it go.
That's another one. You've got to have solid medical insurance. And I found that out when I went to the hospital and had to have an appendectomy. Oh my gosh. But the technology was fantastic. They had like 28 different hookups for me. They could tell exactly what my body was doing, almost like a car. If you buy a very expensive car, you'll get the same electronic hookups. That's technology. And technology and medicine is advancing like crazy, but it's very costly. And we've got to be able to take advantage of it.
And there is we haven't talked about it, but Indiana passed a law, and I think it goes into effect the end of this year, next year, that the hospitals like Franciscan and these not-for-profits have to lower their prices or they lose their not-for-profit. So we're going to see a seismic shift next year in healthcare, because healthcare is god-awful expensive. You do not want to go to the hospital, right? Those bills are astronomical.
Mine was $68,000.
I beat you.
And if you don't have health care, this could ruin your life for
Oh, it will.
generations.
It will.
Generations.
And people
Because
think
you're not healthy, really.
One more just to add to what Tony said. People think about health in their own personal health. The other problem you've got, and maybe robotics will put somewhat of a solution to this, is automobile accidents and what they cost. When you wind up in the hospital and you got 2 or 3 people in a vehicle that have broken arms, broken necks, broken backs, the cost of that is humongous. But we've got the technology to deal with it.
We do. We can take care of it.
I only have to go back, and I'm repeating myself over and over and over again. It's like kicking a dead horse, but I still want to kick. When you have 48% of the residents of Michigan City living at or are below the poverty level, and roughly 26% of those 48% are been living off of the dole all of their lives, what incentive do those 26% of the individuals have to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and make something out of themselves? What you have to do is make it very uncomfortable for that 26% to continue to exist here in Michigan City, and maybe give them a bus ticket and let them go someplace else and live off of somebody else's dole. In order for Michigan City to grow and prosper, we have to, the community, rich, poor, and homeless, have to take a new attitude and feel good about themselves and make something of themselves, rather than continually take and take and take and not contribute to the success of Michigan City.
Maybe you have to make it very comfortable and very easy to get a good job with benefits.
Correct.
And health care and retirement, instead of scrounging around for some scraps that the government gives you.
Correct. As I was driving up, again, what I see with the homeless population of Michigan City, what they do is they reside in the little bitty bus stops. And then when a bus stops there, maybe a half a dozen of them get on a bus and they ride around until...
It's free.
It's free. And they ride around until they stop at another bus stop to pick up more people. And so it does get the homeless people off the street, but it gets them onto a bus. And then when the bus department closes down at like about 8 o'clock, then they find the most convenient woods to set up camp. There is a law on the books in the state of Indiana that specifically mandates arrest of the homeless population if they are found camping out on city-owned property.
Public property.
Public property.
So they have to be pretty smart, because when they get on the bus, at the end of the day, they want to be at the right bus station so they can go in the woods.
Yeah. now we're getting down. We getting down a precious few, Tony.
We have 5 minutes.
Wait a minute. Well,
Now, wait a minute. Now, let me just throw one out.
Oh, okay.
Now, that's the part that the school system talks about socialization. That's the part, and they're raising a lot of money to do this, or trying to. That's the part that the school system is going to have to start to look at. How do we integrate these kids coming in at 5? They need to start at 2, and they need to start in the child care centers, teaching them how to play with each other, how to get along with each other.
Assimilate. All right.
Yeah, and by the time they get to kindergarten, they've got to be on that path. Now, the school system does talk about socializing people and children. That would be one of the areas that they have raised money on, and they should be pretty good at it. But if they're not, they're going to definitely have to improve that.
Yeah, well,
but it still goes back to the math and the reading.
Yeah. The school city has this early learning center out there on Highway 20,
Yeah.
and that attracts these young kids. But if the parents won't bring the kids to this early learning center,
Yeah.
what's the end result?
You go after the parents
See?
and the guardians.
Yeah.
I still think you've got to start paying the teachers. If you expect, like you just said, if you expect somebody to give you 110% and you're paying them 70% of what they should make, chances of getting them to produce and get the kids happy about teaching are less. And
But you
teachers
got
need to get paid.
You got to pay them for what they do.
Yeah, or pay them for their summer school. Pay them.
Yes.
Pay them. We know if
Or
you pay
after
them,
school hours.
or after school, pay them. They will. You will have good students who understand, and happy teachers, and you'll have a better community.
Yeah.
But you have to pay them. I don't know how much this 80 million is going to paying the teachers, but in my mind, it should be all of it. Let's take the money, divide it up, and pay the teachers. After school, summer school, extra programs, pay them.
In fact, I don't think it'd be all that bad for the school system to do away and just put in year-round schools. 2
Year-round
weeks vacation,
schools.
4th of July, 2 weeks vacation, Labor Day,
Yeah.
2 weeks vacation, Memorial Day, 2 weeks vacation, Christmas, New Year's, school the rest of the time.
Pay them. Pay motivates.
Yeah, well, they drop. The average drop is over 20% when you go on summer vacation from the time they leave school to the time they come back. That's a big drop. If you could get out around that drop, then in point of fact, you're going to have a much better learning process.
Earlier this week, I went to Mike Rosenbaum's office to provide the June draw.
You got to tell them who Mike Rosenbaum.
He's the county auditor. And it's this Form 22, I've been on it for the last 5 years, getting the amount of money that the redevelopment commission gets transferred from the new construction in a TIF district. They're a little bit behind on their paperwork, but according to status quo, the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission will be getting roughly $4.75 million in their June draw. That will add to the amount of money that they now have in the bank, which is about $13 or $14 million. And that a portion of that money derived from the TIF district, the school city is eligible for. They requested it, and they were turned down by Schuyler York. Gentlemen, we're getting down to purchase. I attended last night after the meeting with the sanitary district. I went out to the band concert. And Mike Gast is the assistant conductor, Michigan City Area Schools, and a young lady by the name of Michelle Howelson, Hollowson, Hollowson. She's the choral instructor for the Michigan City Area School. She's been there for 16 years, and she was the star attraction there. And ladies and gentlemen, the place was packed. And ladies and gentlemen, the talent that is here in the community is really unreal. I mean, she sang some Hoagie Carmichael, the older tunes that I was able to relate to. But the talent, Michigan City High School band director I talked to, Frank Gast, who is the conductor, he says he has over 130 kids signed up for the band program in Michigan City High School. Music is a common denominator language. You don't have to be smart or dumb. You just need to be able to blow your guts out or beat a tuba or beat a drum. But it provides a group of kids an opportunity to learn self-expression. Maybe it could not be verbally. Maybe it's through the use of an instrument. But 130 kids are eligible now for the marching program in Michigan City High School. As of 2026. I think that's fantastic.
I want to go back to your redevelopment fund. We talked about this, I got 2 minutes real quick. We talked about the Trust Indiana account, and in the end you can put your public money in there and you get 4 or 5%. If you have 20 million in the bank, what's 5%?
Right. Oh,
$1 million.
Well, you're talking $1 million.
They could give the school district $1 million without any effect to their 20 million in the bank every year. Just in interest alone. There you go, 2 minutes.
But since 2000 since
free money. Free money.
Since 2018, they've been shortchanging the Michigan City area schools $600,000 a year. And when I told that to Skylar York, he just shrugged his shoulders and looked at me as if I didn't know what I was talking about.
And we asked
Skylar, I know what I'm talking about, buddy.
We asked the accountant here, how do you make money? You make it work for you.
Yeah.
Right. We're getting down to the last minute. Again, Michelle, she's a fantastic voice. Again, ladies and gentlemen, go to the band concerts because the place was 3/4 packed in that bowl. A lot of people are taking advantage of the municipal band concerts, and they just walk in. The band concert has already started, and you got more people just walking in. I mean, it's a unique activity, and it's free to the public. I want to thank everybody for watching. Your input as to improvements or criticism of this program is greatly appreciated. Please contact Show's co-producers Bob Pollock, Dave Bila, or Tony Hendricks with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock@gmail.com, Dave at djbila1@hotmail.com, or Tony at emailagm@yahoo.com. Or you may direct your ideas for any future shows to our one and only staff writer, Sarah Bellum. The showing of our program will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and also Monday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m. and numerous times on Channel 99 when Andy has some dead air that he needs to fill. You may also enjoy watching us on YouTube. Navigate News and Views, a weekly series of programs are there. If you take the time to go to a specific program and research what I said or what the rest of the panel said and find out how truthful we really are. I want to thank everybody for watching and make it a good day.